In our hyper-connected world, it's easy for our minds to become cluttered and overwhelmed. Have you ever wished you could pause a button on your brain when it's going too fast? What if there was a simple, powerful tool to find inner peace? In this fast-paced world, mindfulness practices can be a valuable tool for AlphaGen to focus, reduce stress, and enhance well-being. Today, we're diving into the world of meditation for our messy minds. So, let's encourage our Alpha Gen friends and siblings to take a mindful breathe and unplug from the noise and discover the power of the present moment. It's not about achieving perfect silence in your mind, it's about taking a little break to be present and aware, to experience the world with fresh eyes and less busyness. The more you meditate, the easier it gets to be mindful in everyday life. And being mindful makes meditation practice smoother. Ready to unplug? Let's explore meditation together and find inner calm. My guest today is an expert for meditation and mindfulness. He is Dr. Christoper Willard. Dr. Christoper is a clinical psychologist, author, and consultant specializing in the treatment of anxiety, depression, and stress-related disorder. He is also a faculty member at Harvard Medical School, where he teaches mindfulness and meditation to medical students, and he serves as a consultant to several organizations. And as an author, Dr. Willard has published several books on mindfulness and meditation. So, let's start our episode. Meditation for the messy mind, unplug to recharge. Welcome to the Teal Alpha Talk. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you on my show. I'm so excited to get started. The Teal Alpha Talk is a podcast dedicated to empowering and inspiring young people to navigate the challenges of the digital age. Dr. Christoper Willard is a clinical psychologist, author, and consultant specializing in the treatment of anxiety, depression, and stress-related disorders. He is also a faculty member at Harvard Medical School, where he teaches mindfulness and meditation to medical students, and he serves as a consultant to several organizations as an author. Dr. Willard has published several books on mindfulness and meditation. Welcome again, Dr. Chris.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, all the way in Saudi Arabia.
I'm so glad. In our hyper-connected world, it's easy for our minds to become cluttered and overwhelmed. Today, we're diving into the world of meditation of our messy mind. So, ready to unplug? Let's explore meditation together and find our inner calm. To begin, could you explain in simple terms what mindfulness and meditation are and how they differ from each other? What are the differences?
Yeah, to me, meditation is like doing an exercise for our brain. Like some of us go to the gym or we have PE class at school or we play sports, and that keeps our bodies strong and healthy. And we all think that's normal. And, and grown-ups, maybe, a few years ago, like that seemed strange. They'd be like, I'm going running. Well, what are you running away from? Right?
Yeah.
What we have now is we have meditation, which is like a gym for the mind. It's an exercise for the mind. And we can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes working out our brains and actually making new brain connections. This is called neuroplasticity, the way that we actually grow new connections in the brain, grow the size of our brain, make ourselves smarter, more able to focus. And we can kind of cross train our brains. We can do things like concentration meditation, which is like strength training for our minds. So we can focus on what the teacher is saying or our friends are saying and not get distracted. And we can also do mindfulness meditation, which is a little bit more like flexibility training for our brain, where we can just start to get to notice where our mind goes, not believe our thoughts. Because I don't know about you, Ratil, but for me, like I get a negative thought and I'm like, it must be true. Like I'm gonna fail this test, I'm gonna fail at school, right? And as I started practicing mindfulness, I started to realize like, oh, just because I'm having this thought, it doesn't mean it's true. And maybe I'll fail the test, but maybe not. And that's been so helpful and empowering for me and for thousands, millions of people around the world, and more for teens, tweens, and kids as well, to be learning how to not believe all their own thoughts, which is a good feeling, at least for me. So
I agree. What sparked your initial curiosity about mindfulness and meditation?
I was a little bit older than you, and I was at university, and I was really stressed out. and didn't know what to do with myself and feeling anxious and having a hard time. And I just kind of stumbled into it. My parents had gotten interested in this stuff and they thought I might be curious about it. And when I started practicing mindfulness and meditation, I suddenly felt like, oh my gosh, I'm happier. Oh my gosh, I'm able to focus. I feel more creative. I feel less distracted. I feel more optimistic about the future. And I just wanted, and then I was like, that was 25 years ago or something. And I was like, I want to practice this more. I want to share this with everybody. And so that's what really got me sparked with this, was feeling overwhelmed in my own life with schoolwork and friends and just life, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. How do you think practice like mindfulness and meditation can contribute to a person's mental health and over well-being?
yeah, there's so much research now, scientists, brain scientists, neuroscientists, like scanning people's brains when they're practicing meditation or mindfulness or afterwards, and seeing that, like, again, these parts of the brain that are like the happiness parts of the brain, the focusing parts of the brain, those are actually like getting a little bit bigger when we practice mindfulness. So that's really
Huh?
cool. And then just other studies finding people are less anxious, feel more relaxed, feel more optimistic, right? These kinds of things, less distracted. So to me, it's such a helpful thing to learn how to get our, not just our bodies in shape, but our brains in shape at the same time.
Many people wonder if yoga and meditation are the same thing, although both offer unique benefits for physical and mental well-being. What are the key differences between them?
Yeah, and I love yoga. I practice yoga. I used to more and now more like just once a week, but yoga is really wonderful for something to focus on, stretching our bodies physically at the same time. And then meditation is really much more of just a mental process, just really using our brains. And you can do movement meditations, you can do walking meditation, you can do stretching meditation, and in a sense, yoga really is just a form of movement meditation, and they both have really interesting, just different benefits. What they both do also is they help us to regulate our breath. And when our breath is calm, our bodies are calm, and then our minds are calm. And so they both have that benefit as well. Yoga is also, it's good for your heart, it's good for your body, it's good to stretch, good to get strong, and also has that element of focus, with the meditation elements of yoga that can help strengthen our brains in different ways too.
Oh, okay. Never knew that. Then Alpha is the first generation to be entirely immersed in the digital world from birth. They're tech savvy, global aware, and constantly surrounded by information and simulation. This can be both a blessing and a curse, leading to anxiety, stress, and difficulty focusing. So, how can we fit meditation into our busy lives?
It's really hard. It's really hard to find the time for anything. It's also really hard to
Yeah.
not get distracted. Even if we didn't have all this digital stuff, when I was growing up, it was like distracted by friends, distracted by this thing happening, distracted by TV, distracted by, right? So we've always had distractions. We always will. They're a little bit stronger now with our phones. And we have to, anything that we care about, we have to make time for. We have to make time for our families. We have to make time for our schoolwork. We have to make time for our friends. And I think one thing that we forget is we forget to really make time, like healthy time for ourselves. And it's such an important habit to get into. And I think what's really fun about doing this podcast with you is that I'm talking to a number of young people. It's a great time to start learning how to be friends with yourself, learning how to enjoy your own company, learning how to make time truly for yourself in ways that are healthy. And it can be, it doesn't have to mean like sitting perfectly still and focusing on your breath for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because I know that can be kind of boring, right? But it can be like, I'm going to pick my favorite song and just listen to my song and maybe notice how my body feels as I listen to this song, or notice all the thoughts and memories that come up with this song, or maybe just focus on one instrument, just focus on the piano for the whole 4 or 5 minutes of the song. And that's a really wonderful way of actually practicing mindfulness, or doing like a music meditation, basically, that's so good for your brain. And you're doing something like listening to music, to me anyway, is more fun than just sitting and focusing on my breath. So I recommend
Yeah.
focusing on breath too, but that's a way to make time, is to bring that mindfulness to whatever we're doing.
I totally agree. As an influencer for young people, I'm often asked how I stay so positive and confident. But the truth is, confidence isn't just about feeling good all the time. Life is full of ups and downs. Confidence is about being open to change, growth, and new experiences and embracing life's unexpected turns. What's one small thing we could do every day to boost our confidence?
Yeah, and I think like, I think you're so right about staying positive and confident. It's not just like everything is good all the time. It's learning how to be flexible, roll with it, as we say over here. Like life has its ups and downs. Can I just, have some acceptance around that? So I think radical
Yeah.
acceptance of just things go up and down, right? Today's tough, tomorrow will be better, but, maybe the other way around. But I think when we do things like practice gratitude, just looking at what is going well in our lives, as well as, the negatives that inevitably come up, I think it's a really important thing to do, to practice gratitude too, to build our confidence and to help us feel appreciative of what's going well, even when we feel like we're facing a really big challenge.
Yeah, like just go with the flow.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
FOMO, fear of missing out. I have FOMO, driven by the belief that others are living better, more exciting, or fulfilling lives than us, is often based on unrealistic expectations. This raises the question, how can we manage our social media use to avoid feelings of FOMO?
This is such a good question, such an important question, Ratil. And I struggle with this in my own relationship to
Same.
social media. I think I read this study that if you spend some time, I heard the scientists talk about, if you spend time looking at other people's social media all the time, you feel worse about yourself, right? They're at the beach, they're at the party, they've got better clothes. But if we take some time every so often and we just look back at our own social media feed, right? What did I post recently? Oh, I had a cool vacation. I can see that on Instagram. Oh, I went to a cool party. Oh, I do these interesting things. It's kind of like making a gratitude list, because we can look back at those, high points in our day or at the end of the year, right? Looking back at those positive moments. And social media actually gives us a good record of some of our best moments. So that's a real way that we can use social media to actually feel better, not worse when we compare. Our brains tend to compare, right, with other people. We can also do things like choose which other accounts we want to follow, right? There's people that we
Yeah.
feel jealous of or make us feel bad. Like we can hide them, mute them, block them for a while if they always make us feel worse. And we can follow accounts that really inspire us. Like getting to know you recently and finding your account so inspiring. It's like, this is great. Oh my gosh, I got to follow Ratil. Like this is going to make my day
Thank
better
you.
when I pick up my phone and start scrolling, rather than just thinking, oh, this person's life is better or that person's got this going on. So it's nice to follow
Yeah.
inspiring accounts too.
Yeah, like before I used to like not sleep because like, oh my gosh, everyone's having fun and I'm here sleeping because my mom makes us sleep so early because like school and I
Mhm.
wake up late. So now like I realize like not your life isn't gonna be perfect all the time. Like sometimes you're gonna have fun, then the next day you're gonna have fun, and your life's not always gonna be fun. So yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes there's also, I remember a few years ago, someone saying there's FOMO, but there's also JOMO. And JOMO is the joy.
Jomo, joy of missing out.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't have to deal, like, I'm not at the party, but there's so much drama at that party, I don't want to be there anyway.
Yeah. Like
Right?
I'm here
I'm not on
relaxing and
vacation, but
they're
they're
just
getting
partying,
mosquito
let them.
bites. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering how much stress and anxiety teens face, wouldn't it be great if there was an online mindfulness meditation course tailored for us? Like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who would love to learn these skills and apply them in everyday life.
Ratil, that is such a good idea. And as you say that, people have suggested that to me over time, to make something like that. Because I've made courses for adults, I made courses for adults to teach kids. And as we're talking, I'm thinking maybe Ratil and I should do this together, where like we
We
can write
should.
some things and you can post them and share them. Would actually be a pretty cool collaboration. Because who wants to hear from me? I'm like some old guy, right? So I think we need to do some collaboration, bringing some young
We
people
have
in
to.
to help teach that course. Yeah,
Exactly. And it could be worldwide because, like, you're in the other parts of the
sure.
world and I'm here. So, yeah.
Exactly.
In a future where AI handles everything, how can we make sure meditation stays a human experience and not get turned into algorithm?
Oh my gosh. I spent the last few days just playing with Chat GPT and feeling a little like I'm feeling like I'm going a little bit crazy spending so much time playing with it yesterday. I think it has so much potential to help us and also, a lot of potential for damage and also just for not doing anything. I actually asked it to write a meditation. It wrote such a terrible meditation. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to lose my job anytime soon. But I do think like there's positive things to algorithms. They can really give us, what we need and what we want. On the other hand, if we, say into the social media world, like I'm feeling down, then it seems to never learn when we're feeling better at things like, oh, this person's always depressed or this person's always negative, and I have to, kind of keep feeding them things about that. And I think hopefully we can get an algorithm that knows when we're in a good mood and a bad mood and what kinds of meditations or what kinds of inspirations will be most helpful to us on any given day to help us be our best. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I just hope it doesn't just assume, just because we were having a bad day that we're depressed and down all the time and then, sends us bad
Exactly.
recommendations based on that.
Exactly. Can VR goggles enhance meditation by providing a relaxing virtual environment like a tropical island? It's like we can combine VR technology with meditation.
I think there's so much potential here too. I know in
Yeah.
the psychology world and mental health, people are using VR to help people overcome phobias, like different fears or anxieties that they have. And I also think, there's some research that was like, this is what mindfulness does to your brain and body to relax it. And then they had people watch like, the Planet Earth series and it like had similar effects, so
Mm.
like being in nature does these things. But I think we can bring all of this together to help ourselves visualize. Or I did get to be on the beach a week or two ago, and it was like, this is great. I wish I could take this home with me. And maybe VR will help us do that. I use
Mm.
visualizations in my meditations. I like to imagine that I'm a mountain or imagine that I'm out in nature sometimes. And I think VR has got a lot of potential for helping us to do that too.
Yeah,
So
I think so too. Many teenagers feel constantly questioned by their parents and pressured to spend time with them, even though they're dealing with social anxiety and feeling burnt out in social situations. So it's no wonder our social energy can drop because we're still building up our social stamina. As a result, we prefer to be left alone in the privacy of our rooms to recharge. Sometimes we need peace and quiet and not nagging just like anyone else. So, how do we find a way to deal with this need for alone time while also maintaining important relationship with families and friends? And
absolutely. And I've got bad news for you, Ratil. My parents still nag me, even though I'm 46
me
years old.
too.
And I nag my kids, who are a little bit younger than you. I think, we can ask for space from people. We can find our voice to say, I need a little bit of downtime. I look forward to connecting with you later. I think when we say, I'm going to my room, not talking to anybody, right, that sends a negative message and leads to more conflict. When we say, I need a little bit of time to recharge to myself, I need some mindfulness time, I need some music time, I need to take a walk, right? We do that in a polite way. I think it's what we call setting a boundary. And then we come back and we're recharged. People really welcome that because they want the recharged Ratil, not the burned out Ratil. They want the recharged
Yeah,
Dr. Chris, not the burned out one. So hopefully people learn to respect that and that we also respect ourselves enough to ask for that time and to give ourselves that time, right? That's
yeah,
really recharging, not just scrolling social media or doing things that, don't make us feel better, are really good for us, but finding ways that are really sustainable that
yeah.
are really lasting to care for ourselves. Yeah.
Exactly. The parent-child relationship was often viewed as a hierarchical with like parents holding authority and expecting unquestioning
Mhm.
obedience from their children. Today, it's more about connection, helping
Yeah.
kids grow and feel good about themselves and giving them the tools to learn and explore. It's like a big boss in charge of a company, and all the workers have to follow the boss's order without asking many questions. That's the old school way of thinking about parents and kids. The
Mhm.
newer way is more like a team where everyone works together and respect each other's ideas and everyone has opinions. Parents still guide and help, but they also listen and encourage the kids to be themselves and make their own decisions. It's all about building trust and helping the kids grow up happy and confident.
Yeah.
Considering the evolution from hierarchical parent-child relationship, how do you think this shift in parenting style impacts the overall development and well-being of the children.
I think it's so exciting to see these changes in parent-child relationships, that parents and kids can be, there can still be that kind of like, separation where the parent is still the parent and the kid is the kid, but they can
Yeah.
be closer in really different ways and have a friendship and in many ways a mentorship, and not just, I have a friend who says, especially as kids get older, it's less like, a worker and a boss, and more like, I don't know if you know what a consultant is, Ratil, but like, a consultant, and an employee or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I know, yeah.
Helping someone bring out their best in themselves, and still has to set limits and set boundaries and things like that. But what I've seen is so many people that feel so much closer to their parents across their lifetime as they grow up with that style of parenting, and that they're so much happier oftentimes. And I travel a lot for work, and so it's really interesting watching different parts of the world where these changes in families are happening. And I was in your part of the world and in Emirates, around the corner from you at a wonderful parenting
Yeah.
conference with people from all over the world, and particularly from all over the Gulf and the Middle East, and just this big exchange of ideas where it wasn't like I was coming in as an American and saying, this is how to do it, but I was learning from Saudi parents and experts, and learning from Lebanese, parents and families and experts and psychologists. And we're all just sharing the best of what each of our culture has to offer. And I found that so inspiring in terms of
Really?
how we can just be better parents, because the world's a different place than it was when our parents were growing up, when your parents were growing up,
Yeah.
than our grandparents were growing up. And it's going to be different when you're growing up. And we need different kinds of families and different kinds of relationships with our parents. And you still need to listen to your parents.
Of course, of course.
But they need to listen to me too. So
Yeah. They need to listen to me too. Like, how it works. It goes both ways, not only one way. Can
You got it.
mindfulness and meditation make a better parent, partner, or friend?
I think absolutely, because I don't know, Ratil, if you've ever like been with someone who you just feel really good around them. You're like, I love being with this person, and that's because that person is like present, like they have presence. They're like giving you their attention. They're giving you their heart. They're giving you this kind of undivided attention. And what mindfulness and meditation help us do is cultivate or create that presence and give people our full compassionate attention and awareness, and then we feel good. And so when we're able to practice mindfulness and build that muscle, people want to be around us. People like us. I always think as a parent, like, one of the things mindfulness helps me do is not react to everything my kids do, but respond, right? If my kids make a mistake, which they do, or if I make a mistake, I can catch it quicker. So, if I like lose my temper at my kids, I can be like, you know what? Like, I messed up. I shouldn't have, gotten so upset with you about that situation. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if I didn't have time practicing mindfulness, where I can catch myself. Oh, maybe I shouldn't tell my kid not to do that. Maybe I should let them explore this a little bit more. Or maybe I shouldn't interrupt my friend. I should really listen to what they're saying, because everyone loves to be really listened to and really seen. And so I think it helps us
Yeah,
in all those relationships. Yeah.
agree. Having bad grades can be hell. What can't what can't be helped by punishment? Yelling doesn't solve anything, and it only leads to more feelings or dejection. Everyone like experiences failure sooner or later, and yes, it sucks. But how can we find a balance between avoiding dejection and ensuring accountability and growth?
Well, this is what I think is so fun about these conversations about parenting or child rearing or teaching that I've had with people around the world, and again with people in your part of the world too, of like, we need to have high standards, and like we need to be kind and give people,
Yeah,
especially kids, like the skills they need to just do better. That's where self-compassion is important. People think that, self-compassion is like, oh, just, like sit around and, like eat sweets all day and not do anything. And actually, when we're truly kind to ourselves, we gently encourage ourselves, just like we want to be encouraging our kids or encouraging our students, when we're grown-ups in a kid's life. And I think that helps them be accountable for, needing to work hard and those kinds of things. And yet also not develop that voice where it's like, oh, I'm such a bad kid, I screwed this up, I'm such a bad student. So learning how to not like I said at the beginning, how to not believe everything we think, right? Just because I'm having the thought that I'm a bad student or a bad kid doesn't mean I am. Maybe I just didn't do a great job studying this time. And if I feel good about
Exactly.
myself, then I'll study harder next time. Or rather than even study harder, I'll find a different way to study that'll work better for me. And that only happens when we're
Yeah.
happy. Our perspective only really changes when we're happy, in a good
Or
mood
when
with a
we feel
positive outlook.
productive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes I try to fall asleep at night, but my mind just keeps going over and over. How might mindfulness and meditation improve someone's sleep?
There's a lot of really good scientists working on this, because what mindfulness does is it relaxes our body. And I remember someone once saying, if you have a relaxed body, it's hard to have a stressed out mind. So the more we can relax our bodies, maybe that's tensing and releasing muscles, maybe it's slowing our breath down, maybe it's doing a visualization like being at the beach, or we were talking before we started recording, being in the mountains in the snow or something like that, because we have
Yeah,
different weather where we are right now. But these things relax our bodies. When we relax our bodies, our brains start to slow down a little bit, and that can help us get to sleep. But slowing our breath down means our heartbeat slows down, means our digestive system slows down, and it sends messages to our brain, okay, you're safe, you can go to sleep, you can get the rest that you need. So these things can be really helpful.
I agree. I heard that meditators have a higher tolerance for pain. Is this true, and how is it true?
One of the things that mindfulness does is it helps us, we still feel pain, emotional pain or physical pain, but it doesn't bother us in the same way. So some researchers at the beginning of studying mindfulness, like 30 or 40 years ago, started helping people who had cancer or sicknesses or injuries, and they asked them to actually focus on their pain, which seems like a terrible idea if you're in pain. But what they actually
Sounds
noticed
like
was,
that, yeah.
right? Yeah. They notice like, oh, the pain isn't solid. It kind of comes and goes. And then focus on when it's going more than just when it's coming. Or it's not actually like a pain, it's more of like an itching. And that's doesn't bother me as much. And same with our emotions. So we get more emotional tolerance or to be able to kind of manage our emotions, because it's like, oh, I watch, the sadness of, losing a friend coming and going, or I watch the worry sort of like comes and goes a little bit over the course of the week, or the stress. I'm not stressed all the time 100%. I'm stressed 80% of the time. And that's better when we start to focus on when that pain is not there. And so we don't change the pain, but we change how we relate to the pain. And I think that's what mindfulness can be really powerful with, whether it's emotional or physical pain of any kind.
Yeah. What are some resources you recommend for people who don't want to learn about meditation and mindfulness?
Well, I think the Ratil and Chris course in mindfulness for teens and tweens will be a place to begin. I've written a few books about mindfulness for teens. I've also written books about mindfulness for littler kids.
I have to read it. As you can tell, I like to read, so I have to read
I
more
know,
books.
you're like, look at your bookshelf.
And I have more like on top.
Oh, nice. I'll have to get your address and send you some more. Those are good places to begin. There's, some social media folks who are probably worth following. There's, different videos you can find on YouTube. There's different apps out there. The Headspace is okay. The Calm app has some pretty good things. There's some interesting people guiding the meditations. We need to get some more Saudi celebrities and influencers like yourself, but there's like some American, pop stars and athletes and things like that who guide
Yeah.
some meditations online, and some of the apps who can be fun to hear their voices rather than just my boring voice or something too. So there's
Yeah.
some good stuff out there, and people can feel free to reach out to me on my website or my social media for more recommendations too.
Yeah, that's great. How can we as a society make meditation and mindfulness more accessible and appealing to young people?
As we've discussed, I think social media has positives and negatives. Social media, what you're doing with your channels on social media, your podcast, that's a great way to start to spread the word about this. I think what's really important is that we need to make it fun. So I think too many people think this is boring, sitting still, focusing on my breath. That sounds terrible. So we need to make it like movement and yoga and games, and while we're listening to music, and while we're interacting with other people and practicing mindfulness in groups, not just as individuals. So I think that when we bring it into things that we love, right, learning about things like Leo Messi, the soccer player, like he was so bored in the pandemic, I guess he got really interested in mindfulness, listening to more
Yeah.
actors and musicians who can help spread the word about it, just like they do to spread the word about buying Pepsi or whatever too, but talking about their mental health and wellness. I think that's all helping. And then I think schools too. Schools is hard because I know not everyone loves school, so it can feel like, oh, here's one more thing. But I also like to say, hey, like who minds doing, like you're doing nothing in school, like, you're literally doing nothing. That's what mindfulness in school can be, is 1 minute
Yeah.
of doing nothing. Maybe that's better than 1 minute of doing pre-algebra or algebra. So
I hate algebra so much.
you and me both.
Like when are we gonna use it in our daily life? Like one day I'm bored. Let's say what is a plus a minus? No, we're not. I'm not. No.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. I do use
Yeah.
algebra sometimes, more than I ever thought I would, but I was not a fan of algebra when I was in middle
It's like
school.
kind of confusing.
It
It's
is.
really.
It is. Yeah.
Next question. Imagine a world where everyone practiced mindfulness for 10
Mhm.
minutes a day. What would it look like? What do you think are like the good things about it?
Yeah, I think people would be happier. I think people would be kinder to each other. I think parents wouldn't yell at their kids. They would listen first before they gave them feedback. I think kids would also make better decisions and feel less stress in school and less pulled into drama with their friends socially. I think there'd be less bullying in schools. I think kids would do better at everything from sports to school to friendships to art and things like that. I think we'd appreciate each other. I think we'd appreciate every moment of our lives in a really different way than we do now when we're rushing around, stressed out, just thinking about the next thing. We could be really focused on how great we have it in this moment, in this incredible world, because it really is a miracle to be here. It's a miracle for
Yeah,
us to be talking, thousands of kilometers apart, for me to be talking to a incredible young Saudi woman while I'm sitting here, an old man in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So we'd be appreciating these moments more too.
I agree. What excites you most about the future of mindfulness and its potential impact on individuals and communities?
I think a lot of that. I think that people can feel better about themselves. One thing, I was saying, I think it would help people be kinder to others, but I think just as importantly, it'd help us all be kinder to ourselves, right? To be, when we do struggle in algebra, that we're not telling ourselves, oh, I'm so stupid. We'd say, oh, this is a hard problem, but I can do it. I think mindfulness and compassion help us to all do that. So we'd be kinder to ourselves and kinder to others. I think we'd be caring more about the planet and the impact we're having on the planet. Countries and our leaders would be caring more about creating peace and less conflict, whether it's in our schools or whether it's in our different countries who are and cultures who are struggling in conflicts with each other. So I know that sounds like a really big idea, but I think it would make a big difference in all those different
Yeah,
ways.
me too. I think it'll make a big difference. I'll tell you my dream project. It's about screens off, screens on. It
Mhm.
encourages people to unplug and spend time outdoors. Imagine a world where curiosity guides kids away from screens and into the embrace of nature. My dream is to build a mobile science lab, traveling the globe and inspiring the public with our discoveries through hands-on experiments and breathtaking landscapes. We'll explore how outdoors adventures and creative hobbies can reconnect children with themselves and unplug from technology in a obviously healthy way. This journey isn't just about science; it's about finding inner peace in our plugged-in world. Yeah, I just feel like it would be so nice instead of everyone just spending time on like their iPads, like they see the world. Because I feel like kids nowadays they're just playing Roblox or on their phone, like my brothers. They just play on the iPad and Fortnite and things. So yeah, I have fun questions now.
Mhm.
It's gonna be really fun.
I love
Okay,
that vision, by the way. I just
yeah.
want to say that's a
Thank you,
beautiful, beautiful
thank
vision.
you. I'm actually really excited to see what you're gonna say about this first one. What's the most ridiculous thing you've heard someone say about meditation? I'm really
Oh
interested.
my gosh.
Is it that bad?
This is hard. Oh my gosh. I mean, some people will say, like it can make you fly, it can make you live forever, things like that. And I think that meditation can be amazing, but I don't think it can make you
I don't think it can make you
levitate off the
fly.
ground.
I think that's like a kind of a miracle where you come into a bird and fly, but that's like in a
Right.
fantasy movie, not real
Yeah.
life. If you could prescribe a movie or song to cure a specific mental health issue, what would it be and why?
Prescribe a movie or a song. Oh, wow. That is such a cool question. Um, oh my gosh.
For me, I feel like song, I don't know, White Ferrari. I don't know if you heard it. It's more of our generation. I don't know, but
Mhm.
yeah. And for a movie, honestly, all the movies I watch are like I love horror movies, so
Oh, wow.
yeah. And I
I
like
also love
action and
horror movies.
drama.
Yeah. I love horror movies because I think actually they can be fun to try to watch mindfully because we can notice like our heartbeat speeding up and slowing down or music. Like, I
Exactly.
think we can notice
And
like
I can just imagine myself in their spot. I was like, I'd be dead the first second. I don't know how they're like finding all
right.
these solutions.
But we can also learn that our emotions really come and go. Like if you like listen to like the Jaws soundtrack or a horror movie soundtrack, you'll feel really scared and then you're like,
Yeah,
it's just a song, right? And then it fades away. Or if you ever like watch something on YouTube like silently, like a horror movie on mute while you play silly music, it totally changes how you feel and you notice how
exactly.
like silly emotions
Exactly.
can be sometimes, or that they'll just like fade away. So actually I wrote a book with a friend a couple years ago. It's coming out next year. It's called Feelings Are Like Farts. And it's about how our feelings just drift away, right? They can be
That's
silent,
so
but they're
funny.
never deadly. And if you hold them in too long, they'll end up exploding. So we're super excited for that book to come
On
out.
point. The book is on point. Okay, you're invited into a superhero party, but you have to
Mhm.
bring a mental health superpower. What would you bring and how would you use it? I'll tell you how I would use it first.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
for example, if I'm in a like murder mystery case, I would use overthinking. So you can overthink, and when you overthink, you could maybe overthink what will happen, so you won't be as surprised.
Right, right. I like that. Then you see all the potential outcomes for how it could go.
Yeah, that you
And you're never
overthinked in your
surprised.
head.
That
Yeah.
is good.
What
That
about
is.
you?
I feel like a mental health superpower. I feel like courage, like being able to just like speak our truth for what's been going on with us. I think is one of the most important things we can do is to be able to put things into words or put them into art or poetry or music
Yes,
or a podcast or a dance and be able to express really what's going on and not be afraid to do that or what other people think. I think would be an amazing mental health superpower.
exactly. Okay. Oh, this was a really good question. You're trapped on a deserted island with your anxious inner voice. How do you calm it down and survive?
I think I'd probably always be trapped on a. If I was trapped on a desert island, I would definitely have my anxious inner voice. What's funny about our anxious inner voices is I think that they often are just trying to help. And I think sometimes they're really mean, but sometimes they're just trying to help. And I think I'd be like, thank you for the concern, like that I'm gonna like die alone here on this island. But I think I'm just gonna go look for firewood now and try to catch some fish. So
So you just give up hope and you're just gonna trust your faith and live in the desert?
I think trusting my more kind of like courageous and inner inspiring voice rather than just my inner critical voice. It's like, you know what? I can do this. I can survive. Like I'll figure this out rather than that voice that tells me I can't. So try to
Exactly.
listen to that other voice.
For me, if I was trapped on a deserted island, I would just tell myself, you won't live like this your whole life. You'll probably find a way out.
Yep.
So yeah, that will make me excited. And I'll treat myself when I get out. I'll go to the beach and
Right.
that's,
Take
yeah,
advantage of what's there. Beautiful beach day.
yeah, exactly. Okay, create a social media campaign to spread awareness about mental health in a cheerful way.
Yeah, I think what we need to hear more of are stories of people that have had a hard time and gotten better. Because I think too many kids have heard stories of people that have just had a hard time. And I think we need to hear more stories, and parents and grown-ups
Yeah,
need to hear more stories of kids who talked about their mental health issues and that they didn't get any judgment or shame from their parents,
exactly.
schools, and their community, that they were,
Mm,
welcomed for, their courage to speak up and speak out. I think the world still needs a lot more acceptance of mental health, but
yeah.
I think it's
You
more the
also,
than the kids.
yeah, you also have to like hear their recovery, like
Exactly.
exactly.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
not a life sentence. Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self about dealing with stress or anxiety, what would it be?
I think that it gets better, and that I wish, I discovered mindfulness and in my time it was very young, when I was 20 or 22. I wish it's something I had learned at an even younger age, just how to calm my breath down, or just how to kind of connect with the moment and appreciate the moment and what it brings, at a younger age rather than when I was at university.
I agree. If you weren't a clinical psychologist, what would you do? What would you think you would be doing instead?
Well, I feel so lucky, Richel, because I always wanted to be a writer when I grew up. And then I thought, I'm never going to be able to be a writer, so I'm going to be a teacher. And then I didn't like being a teacher, so then I became a psychologist. And then after I was a psychologist, I became a writer. So I feel so lucky. I think if I did just one thing, it would probably be just being a writer would be my favorite thing to do, and help other people to be creative as well. Because I love writing. I love writing books for grown-ups. I love writing books for kids. I've written 20 books at this point, and I just love the creative process of writing. So
I
that's what I
definitely
spend
agree.
all my time doing.
I agree. And for me as like a reader, like I love to read, like I feel like writers, like some like there's really good writers, like they write the stories and like I feel like I'm in the character, I'm in this
Mhm.
book because it's like so well written. And even if it's not about like some story or novel, I feel like if you just read like a book that help you like self-improve yourself, it's also
Mhm.
really nice. Like there's a book called Atomic Habits. I didn't read it yet, but
Oh
it's like
yeah,
a really good book.
good
It's
book.
like helping yourself, like how to do something. Like for example, I watched like this a person, and she read this book, and she said that this book like teaches you, for example, instead of just saying, "Oh, I want to go to the gym tomorrow," and like sleeping the whole day, set a time. Like for example, I will go to the gym at 5 p.m. tomorrow in
Mhm.
my home gym, and it makes you more likely to do that. So
Yeah.
that's what I also like about writing, and you could also help other people. So that's what I also like.
Absolutely. Atomic Habits is a great book. It's long. If you want a good short book like that, there's one called Zen Habits by a guy named
I
Leo.
know that one. Yeah.
That's so good. Oh, I got so many good tips from that book. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. If you could leave everyone with one simple tip for a better relationship with themselves, what would it be?
I'd say be kind to everyone, but be kind to yourself. It's really hard to be kind. I'm actually working on a book about this, that it's hard to be kind to anybody else until you learn how to be kind to yourself. So I
Exactly.
know grown-ups are always telling kids to be kind, but they need to learn first how to be kind to themselves. And if you're kind to yourself and also still holding yourself accountable, I think kindness is holding yourself accountable too. I think that you'll be happy, you'll be successful, and yeah, just learn how to be truly kind to
You
yourself.
said what you said. I agree. Okay. My last question is for all my guests. They said, live today the way you want to be remembered tomorrow. So what do you want to be remembered for?
I just hope the books that I write kind of can outlive me and outlast me, and that people will, maybe, if I teach some young kids or medium age kids or teenagers a little bit of mindfulness, maybe they'll use it that day, or maybe it'll be a seed that's planted, and 30 years later, 40 years later, when they're having a hard day, they'll remember, oh, that guy came to my school and taught me some mindfulness, or, I went and saw Dr. Willard for therapy and he taught me some mindfulness and I never used it. But now, 30 years later, that was a really positive memory and I'm going to use that now. So that's my hope, is that I've planted some seeds of mindfulness for the future.
Like that's a good way to be remembered. Lots of people remember if you that's the way. Anyways, let's end with a gratitude meditation to appreciate the good things in our life. In Islam, we say Alhamdulillah. I don't know how you say it, but in Islam, we say Alhamdulillah. It means like we thank God for everything, you know?
Nice.
So
Can
yeah,
you say that again more slowly so I can try to say it?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Oh,
Well, you said a good.
beautiful. That's beautiful,
Yeah,
though.
so we thank God about all the good things that we have in our life, and that's basically what it means. So thank God, basically.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here. And do you have any questions to ask me or anything you want to say?
Well, thank you for being here, Ratil. Thank you for the work that you're doing, kind of bringing so much more positivity and light and mindfulness and awareness and inspiration into this world in Saudi, in the Gulf, in the Middle East, and around the world to young people everywhere. I feel honored to be your guest, and I hope at some point we get to meet in person at some point. Either
Yes.
you're in America or I'll be in your area at some point. Would be a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I really enjoyed it and I learned lots of things, and I'll definitely use your tips you said in my life. So thank you so much, and
Thank you.
really had fun today.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy. Bye.